Alright, so this is part 2 of creating the desk lamp, and the first thing we're gonna work on this part, or in this part, we're gonna try to actually create the low poly version. So the low poly version of this lamp is basically going to be actually reducing the poly count when it comes to the mesh, and try to actually reassign or just target weld the vertices that need to be welded, and they're kind of in a straight line or flat surface or something of that sort. So this is basically what we are trying to do, and this process is very easy. Sometimes it is straightforward, sometimes we're gonna have to do a little bit of thinking in order to do it the right way, of course. And there are many ways of doing it. Sometimes I basically and mainly use one method, and there are many alternative methods out there you can use, but for the sake of simplicity and trying to deliver something consistent and something understandable, I will use this method. So as you can see here, I'm using the target weld tool in order to weld the vertices and bring them back to one vertex. And basically we're going to use lots of triangles, and we're going to triangulate a lot of things. So for example here, these details on that surface are going to be gone because we're going to bring them back using the what we call the high poly baking on top of the low poly, and the normal map and stuff that we're going to talk about later in Substance Painter. Also here, I don't know, here probably we're gonna leave it as it is probably. For example, for this screw here or this pin, we're gonna leave it as it is also. And when it comes to this foot, we're gonna have to do some cleaning. So there are probably certain vertices that need to be attached, like this one here, that need to be welded actually, because it seems like they are separated for some reason. Also here, this is gonna be actually, don't remove this. If you're following me step by step, or you haven't actually reached this point, leave it as it is, this one here. Don't do what I've done just now, because later I went back and fixed it, because I kind of wasn't actually thinking straight when I did that, because it is actually sometimes if the surface, if the bacon is gonna be on two surfaces, sometimes the bacon is not gonna be the data from the high poly to the low poly is not gonna be transferred correctly. Sometimes you're gonna discover that after testing, which is the price you're gonna pay. But it wasn't that big of a deal. Went back, fixed the mesh real quick, and I have recreated the bake, which wasn't that big of a deal either. So you have nothing to lose. So, and I have something to say that probably if you see that you screwed something up, it's probably worth it to go back and spend 20 minutes or something to fix it, because I personally don't like, I rather spend half an hour fixing it rather than looking at it again and that bad feeling that it's kind of, it looks not that great feeling. I don't like that. It's painful. Alright, so as you can see here, also we are trying to target weld some of these vertices. It's a repetitive process. Sometimes it is tedious, but it is a necessary process in order to create something that can run inside a game engine and is efficient. You don't want to create a model like this that has 30,000 vertices or 30,000 polys or triangles. It's not gonna be smart. Probably in the future it's gonna be, but these days we have to be conservative. and minimalists when it comes to the poly count. For these small pieces, you can take it to the next level when removing stuff, but for the biggest pieces, you better make sure that you're doing this or taking care of that process correctly. Alright, just I was trying to make sure that everything is in place because it seemed like the position was off a little bit. Alright, right now we're going to start working on the UVs. So apply the UV unwrap modifier, and this one here, we'll try the box modeling quickly and see if this is going to be a good idea or not. It seems like we have so many pieces here, so we're gonna try to extract the pieces that are already UV unwrapped, and we're gonna try to fix the other pieces that are scattered all over the place and organize them because it is necessary that we're gonna do this. Alright, so we're gonna organize these pieces a little bit. Alright, so these pieces need to be stitched together, so you can use the shortcut Shift S or right click Stitch Selected from the menu, from the list. Alright, as you can see here, we're trying to organize this quantity of pieces because they seem like they're a lot, so we can use some tools, but I kind of at the same time I like to do this manually because I like to have control over the process, even though it's gonna take me a little bit longer, like few minutes longer than it should be. Alright, so after applying the checker texture, it seems like everything is okay for now. And also for now, we're gonna work on the this other piece here, which is this leg here, and this should be very simple and straightforward. We're gonna use the same method. We're gonna use box modeling or box unwrapping. or as you can see, I'm using some manual tactics here. This way we're gonna have way more control over the process of UV unwrapping. Alright, so as you can see here, we applied the same thing on the other piece. And for this shade here, let me think about it, because actually I've already done that. This is just a voiceover. So the thing is here, you can approach it like using multiple methods, but for the most part, I think the best way in order to keep things intact and look like they're not separated by some seams when texturing, we're gonna try to actually cut in the corners. So we're gonna cut the corners and we're gonna keep it intact in the center. So this is actually the best approach probably, because this is not something that is a box or something that has hard edges. This is kind of something smooth and soft in the edges, and I think this way it's gonna look better. So we're gonna use the pelt tool in order to flatten everything. Bring everything to the second dimension. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm now trying to actually straighten some of these edges, cause this way we're gonna have better bake. So there is a shortcut here, but you can use other tools in order to do this. So my shortcuts are X from the keyboard in order to align horizontally, and Y in order to align vertically. So there are these icons in the top right corner. You can use these in order to apply this process. Alright, for this piece, things are going to be simple. So we're going to try to cut some seams here in order to have a little bit more control over the process of UV unwrapping and the results we're going to get. Alright, we're going to straighten things up a little bit. Alright, so for the bulb, we're going to actually split it into two halves in order to get the best results possible. Since the spherical stuff are probably the hardest to unwrap with the good results. Alright, so we're trying right now to finish this piece here because it's simple. So the next is gonna be this one and this one, these two. And in order to get this done quickly, we're gonna have to attach them together and UV unwrap them in one go. Actually, this is gonna save us some time. Alright, so we're gonna use the box unwrapping or box mapping. We're gonna do this for all the pieces, and then we're gonna work on them because the time of we spend kind of applying modifiers and applying checker textures and trying to adjust the size with the proportion and the proportion with the other pieces. We're gonna do this all in one go. It's gonna be a time saver and an energy saver as well. Alright, so we're gonna work on these pieces one by one. Shift S to stitch these pieces together. Alright, so we are trying to work on the proportion of these pieces in comparison with each other, because this is important. Alright, so after we organize these pieces and work on the proportion, we're gonna bring them down a little bit like this to some corner and apply the checker texture and to see if it fits well with the rest of those pieces we worked on previously. Alright, so now after we finish the individual pieces, attach them together and apply the unwrap modifier in order to work on the UV template. So the UV template is extremely important. We're going to use it for multiple purposes, but for now we're going to try to create it first. So we're going to bring all the pieces in the 0, 1 space, UV space, and the rule is I follow is try to push in or put in inside the UV 0 to 1 UV space the biggest pieces first, and then take care of the smallest pieces or the smaller pieces that come later, because it's an easy thing to fit something small inside kind of the space that is left, the remaining of that space. So here I just and also there are other rules that we need to follow in order to be able to kind of perform a nice UV unwrapping, like trying to respect the scale of the or the size of the template. For example, if we use 2K, if you use 2K template, then you better use all the 2K template. Like, don't use enough space to that you can fit inside 1K by 1K UV template. So this is a very obvious one. So you're gonna maximize the usage of the UV template. Also, there is in UV unwrapping for game models the 90-degree angle rule that I follow. So in order to have a better bake, when you see that you have for example, two surfaces, two polygons, and there is a 90-degree angle between those, you better kind of make sure that the angle is going to be broken, and these surfaces are going to be broken, because this way you're going to get a better bake and better results. Actually, here I'm back. I probably went to do something and I forgot to pause the recording. Sorry for that. So I had to talk to you for a bit, explain stuff while I'm gone. So here, the process of stacking these pieces here is not hard, but we have to be efficient, and we have to get the most out of it. So as I said before, if we're using a 2K template, we better use all the 2K, because this way we're gonna have the maximum resolution, textures look better, and everything looks nice and clean, and we are being efficient as a result, and also makes the UV template look good and nice and respectable. When someone looks at it, it's gonna be kind of something pleasant to look at. I actually like creating UVs for complicated and models that have so many pieces to them, because I love these puzzles and trying to fit everything inside limited space. It's enjoyable for me. Alright, now the smaller pieces, or the small pieces now are easy to put inside the UV template. Alright, so now after we're done with the process of UV unwrapping, we're gonna jump to the next part, which is basically naming our pieces. So in this process here, we're gonna detach the pieces that are attached together, and we're gonna give them some names. So we're gonna use a name which is the main name, and we're gonna use a suffix, underscore suffix. This suffix is important. It's extremely important for baking inside Substance Painter. This is basically the way in order to tell Substance which piece is which, and it's actually an indicator that the high poly that should be baked on top of the low poly, and yeah, we're gonna use a main name and a suffix underscore LP underscore LP HP. This is what I use. You can use whatever name you want. Just make sure that the name you use inside 3ds Max is gonna be the same one that you're gonna use inside Substance Painter. And of course, this process is gonna take a little bit of time. It's not that complicated. And the names you're gonna use to name your pieces also don't matter that much. Just make sure that whatever names you give are kind of practical. For example, if someone looks at it and understands what's going on, and if he's trying to find a piece from the list of names, is probably going to guess what that means. So, and if you're working or using, or even for yourself, for example, if you're trying to look through the list and trying to find something, probably it's better for you as well if you organize it, and the method that you're going to use is going to be important, because over time you're going to develop a methodology that is important in order to become a professional. If you're a beginner right now, probably that does not matter that much, but over time, you're gonna teach yourself to behave professionally. And if you do the best practices early on, then you're gonna develop these habits, and you're gonna develop these methods that are gonna be growing over time with you. And if they seem like they are hard right now, over time they're gonna be second nature, and you're not even going to think about them. So you better internalize and kind of habitualize your kind of and automate these things, even though they seem hard for now. Alright, so right now we are in Substance Painter, and it seems like I skipped the process of baking for some reason that I don't know. Probably I lost the files or I didn't record it in the first place. But it seems like things are working properly and we are ready to start texturing. So, I think the process of baking is something we've done multiple times before, so sorry if kind of that was unexpected. And right now we are trying to add some smart materials. The process of texturing here for this model here is going to be very straightforward. So we're going to add a few smart materials, and we're going to add a mask. So right click, add a mask, and try go to polygon fill and add these pieces that should be assigned, or the kind of select the pieces that this material will be assigned to. It's a very simple stuff, so it shouldn't be or shouldn't look that complicated even. And also, this steel material that I'm using right now is something simple to use. I'm trying to keep the texturing process extremely simple. I'm kind of trying to avoid complications, and for now I use this plastic material for this bulb, even though the bulb is glass, but since it is white type glass, probably plastic is gonna look good on it. Glossy plastic. So yeah, right now we're gonna use a font, which is Substance font here. We're gonna write the name, which is gonna be the name of probably the company that produced these lamps. It's called Horex. Probably this is how it should be pronounced. Put it right there, and we're gonna do the same thing in the base or underneath the foot of the lamp. Alright, try to do the same. We're gonna we just copied that layer and put the name there. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope this tutorial was useful. Sorry for the awkward cut, and I didn't do the baking properly. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for becoming Patreon, and I will see you in the next one.